This is a 2025 Tesla Model 3 Performance. Not only one of the best value EVs on the market, but also one of the best value performance cars on the market. With over 510 horsepower, this thing is insane. And today I'm gonna take you on a full tour, take it for a drive, and not give it a Doug score because I'm not Doug DeMuro. Obviously, everybody knows who owns Tesla and what Tesla does. All electric vehicles made by Elon Musk himself. Unfortunately, the Cybertruck is one of them, frickin' fridge. Anyway, regardless of whether or not you like Elon, this is a fantastic performance bargain. 2.9 seconds 0 to 60 for under $60,000 is a steal. Basically nothing comes close to it. Anyway, let's get into a review from front to back, take it for a drive, and see what my perceptions are of the Model 3 Highland coming from someone who owns a 2019 Tesla Model 3. Starting at the front, you will notice compared to the old Model 3 that the headlights are a lot slimmer, closer to what's pictured on the new Tesla Roadster that hasn't come out yet, and I don't think it ever will. And then the Performance also has a unique front bumper with these air curtains. The standard Model 3 doesn't have these, and this different lower splitter. So overall gives it a way more aggressive look that I actually like. I don't particularly like the standard Model 3 bumper as much, but I actually really like this. Taking a closer look at the headlights, I'm gonna pop the headlights and hazards on, do the lights, and then do the hazards. You can see your hazard light is right here along the bottom strip. You have your DRL going across, low beam, high beam, and a reflector right there. They also got rid of the fog lights, which weren't very necessary, I will say, but I kind of do miss having the fog lights. They also, I think, in Europe support matrix LED functionality, not in the US because it's not allowed currently, but the hardware might actually be capable of it. It's just not enabled via software yet. Speaking of being up front, let's open the front trunk. Open the Tesla app and press open, very similar to my Model 3. Lifting it up here, you will find a marginally larger front trunk, and by marginally I mean marginally, and there is also an emergency safety latch in here if you're some sort of garden gnome that's small enough to fit in this tiny front trunk. They also moved the washer reservoir to the very front, which is going to get crushed immediately if you get into a front end collision, so I'm not a huge fan of that, but the rest of this front trunk is pretty standard. Oh wait, it actually kind of lasts a little bit, and then you gotta push down like this once you get it to that position. Moving down to the tires, up front you have a Pirelli P0 235/35R20, and in the rear you have a 275/35R20 mounted on the warp wheels, which look very cool, but these plastic inserts can come apart. Actually, on the other wheel on the front, one of these little plastic inserts has fallen off, and there's not really any curb rash to excuse why it would fall off, so that's kind of weird. You also have red brake calipers, adaptive dampers, and TrackMode, which allows you to vary the torque split front to rear so you can take it on the track. Although I have heard that these brakes are quite inadequate for a car with this much power, so it might be worth looking into upgrading the brakes. Here's a better look at the 20-inch warp wheels in the sunlight. Now hopping into this Model 3 is the same thing as old Model 3s. You have a key card. This is not the key card to this. This is the one to my car. Or you can also use the app that will automatically unlock as you approach the vehicle. So right now it is unlocked and I can just open the door. The way you use these door handles, thumb first, then grab. Very simple if you're used to owning them, but a lot of people can't figure it out. Then you also notice your sport bucket seats, which you can see have increased a lot because when you get in, you have to lift your butt over the seat edge, which is a little bit annoying considering how tall they are. Although the seats are 10-way power adjustable and heated and ventilated now, which is nice. The old ones are only heated. You also have a heated steering wheel with your turn signals on the steering wheel instead of a stalk, and to shift, you just swipe on the touch screen. Up for drive, down for reverse, or alternatively, you can just have the car guess which direction you want to go and it will shift for you. On the dash, you have carbon fiber, plenty of center console storage, 2 wireless chargers, a 15-inch touchscreen with no Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, air vents that you adjust through the touchscreen like a normal Model 3. To adjust your mirrors, you just go into the settings and use the buttons on the steering wheel. Same for the steering wheel itself. Pistol grip style door release button. There's also a manual one here. 4 electric power windows. The rear ones don't roll all the way down. Aluminum brake pedals. Your auxiliary shifter, if the touchscreen is broken, is up here on the roof, so I can select park, reverse, neutral drive up here. Obviously that's not the intended way to shift, but that is also one of them. You can also control your ambient lighting here, so I can change the color, so I can set it to blue or red, basically anything you want. So I actually really like that because at night it looks really neat. All right, let's try out the stereo system. The stereo sounds good, but there is a little bit of a rattle when you have the volume all the way up, but the stereo has a lot of bass and clarity, so that is good. And yeah, overall, the fit and finish is much improved. If I actually close the door, Yeah, it rattles like a little bit, but that's just this window moving. You can also see that it's double pane glass here, so there's virtually no wind noise. So this is a very well-built car, just reassure that. And then let's hop into the rear seats. Same door handles as on the front, and you will see that there is not a ton of room, but there is ambient lighting on this door right here. Sliding in, I do fit back here. Weirdly, there is no seat back pocket, but there is a rear touchscreen, which is also really neat. You can move your air vents around and control your outboard heated seats. No middle heated seat, I don't think, unlike the old Model 3s. If I roll the window down, that is as far as it goes, which is unfortunate. And I do have a center armrest with 2 cup holders and USB-C ports down here. If I sit completely up straight, my head does touch the glass roof, but if I just sit normally, I do have enough space back here. So for a compact sedan, it's not too bad at all. So yeah, backseat review, same as the old Model 3, maybe a little bit smaller because of these seats. I think these seats take up a tiny bit more room, but not too bad. And then you also lose your backseat pockets, but the rear screen makes up for it. And the glass roof also makes it really nice to look out of. I do like that. Again, very solid door thunk. And since there is a flat floor, I can actually sit in the middle seat fairly well, although the car is a little bit too narrow to have 3 full-size adults back here. But overall, for a compact sedan, the back seat is pretty roomy. The old Model 3 never had a manual door release for the rear doors. However, the new one is right in here. Just pull off that little cover and pull this little yellow tab, and that will manually release the door in case the little electronic button fails or the battery is dead. So that is a very useful safety feature. If you also need to fold down the seats for more cargo room, the latch is right here. Just pull the seats down. If you move that front seat forward, it will lay flat, so you have way more cargo capacity if you need it. Now we will discuss charging and range. Just push on the charge port for it to open. You can open it from the phone app or push the button on the Tesla connector and it'll open up. Battery pack, Panasonic cells, 2170 cells in this case, 82 kilowatt hours usable, I'm pretty sure. I think it's 82 kilowatt hours usable. Peak charging rate on DC, 250 kilowatts, maybe a little bit more than that. If you're running climate control hard, it'll pull a little bit more than that. But 250 kilowatts is what the battery pack is capable of pulling. 400 volt architecture, 11.2 kilowatt onboard charger, so 48 amps at 240 volts. And the powertrain is a dual motor, permanent magnet rear motor, induction front, combined 510 horsepower and 546 pound-feet of torque. Although there is a caveat to that. If you order these in Canada or Europe, you get the LG battery pack, which only can output 460 horsepower. You kind of have a little bit of a handicap if you buy this car in not the US market. But for us in the US, you get the full 510 horsepower quoted by Tesla. I've actually heard that it's more than that, closer to 600, but I'm just gonna say 510 because that's what's quoted by the manufacturer, so that makes sense. That gives you a 0 to 60 time in 2.9 seconds. I have gotten close to that on a wet day. I got 3.08 seconds, 0 to 60. I'm gonna actually do another run today because it is significantly less wet, but it's fast. Moving to the rear, you have your updated taillights, Tesla badging spelled across the top, carbon fiber spoiler, different rear diffuser for the performance, license plate, and then you push right here to open the trunk. As you can see, the taillights go with it. So when the trunk is up, these little lights down here replace the lights that go up because that's a US regulation. You can't have your taillights on a movable piece of bodywork without having auxiliary taillights. Although what happens if you try to close the trunk with the charge port open? Let's see if it hits. It's close, but it does not hit the charge port. If I push the turn signal, you can see that this outer thing lights up yellow versus red on the old Model 3, at least in the United States. If I push the brake, the outer section will light up. If I shift into reverse, the reverse lights are in the lower bumper. However, there's a catch. Since the taillights are on the trunk, if I open that trunk and then turn on the turn signal, you can see that the turn signal has moved down to the bumper. A lot of different cars use this. I know Lucid Air uses this. The Chevy Bolt used to use this setup as well to get away with having your taillights mounted on the trunk. You can also see the not plaid, but performance badge for the Model 3. It looks similar, but it's not the same thing. But yeah, let's talk about trunk space. There is no kick sensor, but I think there is a function where if you just wait at the back of the trunk for a while, it will open. Anyway, we'll pop the trunk again. You have a good amount of space, goes all the way back there, although the load lip kind of near to each other, so it's hard to fit tall things in. I know that from experience. You do have some underfloor storage, although unlike the old Model 3, you can't actually make this go all the way up where it just stays up and down. You have to hold it because these subwoofers in the thing there. Anyway, down here, there is a mobile connector, which no longer comes with the car, so that's kind of annoying. You have to pay, I think, $320 to get that upon delivery. Maybe it's $250. I don't know. Either way, it's expensive and it should come with the car. If we close it, pretty nice, and it doesn't beep excessively and take forever like some power trunks, which is very appreciated. Now we're gonna talk pricing and features. Obviously, since this is equipped with hardware 4, you get the full FSD suite if you pay for it. So Summon, Auto Park, Smart Summon, and full FSD. The base price of the Model 3 Performance is $54,990. So that is for this exact spec as you see it here. Black interior, stealth gray exterior. There is, I believe, 6 color options. There's black, pearl white, stealth gray, quicksilver, ultra red, and deep blue metallic, I think is what it's called. 6 different color options. You can also get white seats on the interior instead of black, and then you have no wheel options because this is the only one that comes on the Performance. And that's pretty much it as far as customization, unless if you want FSD or not. You can also subscribe to FSD if you don't want to pay. I think it's $8,000 right now. Maybe it's 7. I'll put it in post. And remember that in that $54,990 price point, you get 510 horsepower, 300 miles of range, an 82 kilowatt hour battery pack, Pirelli P0 tires, which are not cheap, heated and ventilated seats, fully power seat, Tesla integration, the supercharger network, the option of the most advanced driving software in any vehicle in the United States, full self-driving, a heated steering wheel, carbon fiber dash inlay, this awesome front bumper and these awesome headlights, fantastic looking wheels, fully glass roof, power trunk, spacious front trunk, good back seat room, rear touchscreen. There's a lot of things to like about this car for this price point. And even if you don't care about any of those features, if you just want the performance, it still is class leading for its price point. Anyway, let's take it for a drive after I explain some of its quirks and features. Oh wait, that's the forbidden word. Abnormalities and options, I'm gonna call it. That is so stupid, but I can't say quirks and features anymore. Let's say I want the car to go to a certain location without me in it. If I go to Summon, place a target on the map, place a target right here and click go to target. There's no one in that car right now. I'm just holding the button. Simple as that. I have tested this in a parking lot and it works fantastic. Actually way better than I was expecting. All right, the car is somewhere over there on that side of the parking lot. We're gonna try Smart Summon. It's actually kind of sketchy when you can't see the car. It's moving on the camera. Yeah, it should be coming this way. It's turning around. It's driving itself. There's no one in it. That's actually pretty impressive how it can just like go around and it's here. Summon is legitimately a useful feature. Same story with Auto Park and FSD. There were several scenarios where I just put in a navigation address, the car backed out of the parking space and drove me to that destination with 0 issues, and Auto Park works a little bit slow, but works perfect every time. So FSD is honestly really worth $100 a month if you really want those features because they work phenomenally. Now that it's in the sunlight, let's look at some styling here. First off, I talked about the headlights. I love them. I love the bumper. I like the wheels. The whole car is very wide. As you can see, the stance is very good. On the rear wheels, the wheels could possibly come out to the fender a little bit more to fill the fender, but otherwise, I think this car is beautiful. And the old Model 3 was not bad looking, but it looked a little bit more like a fish. This actually looks like a performance car, and that's really what it needs. Honestly, this is, I think, the best looking Tesla right now. Another feature is Sentry Mode in the dash cam. This is the whole reason that I love my Tesla, is that it captures every angle you could possibly need for insurance purposes while you're away and while you're driving. The new Model 3 doors on the front and the back have this little hung protrusion that inserts into the door right here. So if I close it, you can see that it would insert right there. And I guess that has to do with the quality of the door thunk maybe, or maybe the sealing from wind noise. I'm not sure. The glove box, just like an old Model 3, you open it through the touchscreen, but the quirk I'm thinking about is that it's like only, well, first off, only the door moves, and it's also magnetic. If you listen, it's just a magnetic door. Speaking of magnets, the center console also has no latch. It's just a magnet. Like all newer Teslas, you can go to the boombox feature and play sounds to the outside of the car. Hello. And you can replace your horn sound through the boombox feature, so that's cool as well. I don't know when you'd ever use it, but it is kind of neat. Also in the toy box, you can do light show, rainbow road, the fart thingy, Santa mode, colorizer, so this is how you change the color of the car on the actual display there. Tracks, you can make a music thing, romance mode, sketch pad, you can just do woo, and then you can also go back to the toy box and do put your Model 3 on Mars. To control the rear touchscreen, you can press this app that says rear, and this will mirror the rear touchscreen. So then you can turn on the rear fan and adjust the air vents for the rear passengers. You can also increase their fan speed, turn on their heated seats, change the music from there, put on a video, have them play a game, or do anything else. Keep climate, so you can keep your climate running if you run into the store. Dog mode and camp mode. So you have plenty of climate control options. If you tap right here, there is a weather radar, which is not showing anything right now because there's no rain today, but yesterday you could see the radar. Yeah, you see, look here. You can see all the rain on the weather radar. That is actually a really neat integration. And speaking of weather, you tap up here, you can see the temperature. This actually came in the holiday update back in December. So yeah, the weather radar is something that you wouldn't really think you would need in a car, but it's actually really nice once you have it. Speaking of integration, you can use different driver profiles. So for different people, you can have the seat adjusted to a different place and it automatically syncs to your phone. There's also theater, YouTube, TikTok. You also have Twitch, Hulu, YouTube, and Tesla tutorials. So if you can't figure out how to work your car that you just bought, you can just go in here, find the Tesla tutorials, and then it'll tell you. Although, what if you can't find the tutorials? One thing I noticed is that when you're parked, the horn is incredibly quiet. It sounds like it's using the pedestrian warning speaker instead of the actual horn, which is kind of odd. And that artificial sounding thing also applies when you lock the car. It just sounds fake. But what's neat is that you can also change the lock sound and then do lock sound. You can play a lock sound when it locks. So if I close the door, lock it, obviously when you walk away, it would just lock automatically and lock. That's just whatever was on the USB stick. That's enough with the quirks and features. Let's take the Model 3 Performance 2025 Highland refresh for a spin. All right, before we set off, let's configure some settings right here. So we go to the car menu, we go to dynamics, chill, standard or insane, sport or standard. I'm gonna choose standard handling, insane speed. And as you can see, the automatic shifting, when I tap, automatically puts me in drive because it guesses based on the situation that I'm in that I want to go forward. So yeah, let's take it for a spin. I do notice that the steering feels more precise, yet has a less egregious steering rack ratio. It actually turns a little bit more than one turn in either direction. It's like 1 1/4 of a turn. Floor it. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, got some wheel spin there on the front axle. Yeah, this thing hauls. It's got way more power than I think is necessary. I would be fine with the long-range all-wheel drive. I really don't need the performance. Yeah, it's cool, but you do sacrifice some range. But if you really don't need the range, this thing is fantastic to drive. Ooh. 3, 2, 1. Oh my God. And I know this isn't as fast as the Model S Plaid, but it's still ridiculous. And see the steering rack ratio? My Model 3 would stop right about here. So it's got a little bit more angle on the steering. Should we do one in track mode? I think it'd be rude not to. Dynamics, track mode. 3, 2, 1. Wheel spin. 60. Oh my God. It spun the tires on dry pavement. That's actually insane. And after driving it for a while, I've gotten used to the buttons on the steering wheel. I don't hate them. I would live with it, but I prefer a stock. Anyway, ooh. Anyway, here's a curvy section of road coming up. Maybe 70 around here. Oh yeah, this thing is very stable. And honestly, the suspension in the stiff setting, not bad. It's not that stiff. My Polestar, which if you guys didn't know, I owned the Polestar 2 for around 9 months. And I loved it until I got my Model 3, and then I realized it was a little bit overpriced and inefficient. But that car, in its standard only suspension setting, oh, is stiffer than this in the stiff setting. So yeah, this is not an exceptionally stiff suspension, which is good for daily driving, but not for the track. And then we'll see how it powers out of this corner. Traction control intervened quite aggressively there. Okay, is the car gonna accelerate more? Anyway, yeah, there we go. I'm gonna floor it. Get some speed around the corner. Here's 60 around the bend. The P0's taking the corner very well there. Curvy roads, it just like, I guess because of the weight, like the weight just helps it grip. And this is not an exceptionally grippy surface, it is chip and seal. see based on, because I'm pulled into a parking spot, it automatically selected reverse. And once I back out of the parking spot, I just push the brake and turn the wheel, it puts itself back in drive. So the automatic shift is fantastic. It works like every time. That's gonna be my driving review of the Tesla Model 3 Performance. Good in the city, comfortable, apart from the seat bolsters. The backrest bolsters I don't mind, but the bottom bolsters I do. I actually don't mind the turn signal buttons, I've gotten used to them. I don't mind the shift on the screen, and the only things I wish that were different is I kinda just wish it was a Model Y, because I want the higher up ride height and the cargo capacity. I want the hatchback. But other than that, just want a hardcore performance Tesla, which I know those don't really go together. Then this is the car for you, because apart from the brake, it's an absolute weapon of a car. Oh. Anyway, let's cut to the outro. Okay, so that concludes my experience driving the 2025 Model 3 Highland Performance. It's fantastic. It's fast, it handles well, the brakes are okay, but overall, as a performance bargain, this thing is unbeatable in the sedan segment. You really can't get close to it for like 0 to 60 time per dollar. Obviously, 0 to 60 isn't everything, but it's not nothing either. And this thing is incredibly quick. What do I rate this car? Well, I would say an 8 out of 10. It nails basically everything except for a few things. For one, I'm not a huge fan of the sports seats. I thought I would be. They're a little too grippy for my liking. Second off, I wish it had a turn signal stock. And third off, I wish it was just a Model Y. I like having more ground clearance, and that's why my Model 3 is lifted. So other than that, this is a fantastic option if you're looking for a performance sedan, even if you're looking for an electric car or not. Either way, it's both a great vehicle. Anyway, that'll be the end of this video. See y'all in the next one. Bye.